Hello, Effect enjoyers. Tim and I are back today. Another weekly stream. And today we're going to be working on a coding agent that Tim has been hacking on lately. That's written with Effect and takes a little bit of a different approach, specifically to tool calling, but other things as well. So maybe we can start with Tim giving a little bit of a brief overview of Clanka.
What should we do first? Should we do like a little intro or?
Yeah, like maybe we can go over what Clanka is and what makes it different from other coding agents out there. And then maybe we can talk about like the why. And then we can maybe talk about like some of the features you're working on.
Well, I have an example that I've been using.
Can you tick the font like one or two more, Tim? Just because I know folks will ask. Yeah, that's good.
Cool. So it's just, I have a little example here, and it's just a real simple way to just like get a prompt into it. Just similar to like running open code or something in execute mode or Claude. So you can do like open code, run.
They should add a rum subcommand.
A little bit and the agent for rum.
and the agent just responds in a pirate themed voice the whole time.
Yeah. So it's, the example is just the equivalent of kind of like an open code run or whatever.
Cool.
But you can already see like where the differences start. So with Clanka, the idea is instead of tool calling, it's writing code, and that code allows it to like interact with the system. So I wanted to take that idea and see how far I could take it and if it actually works decent, and it works pretty well. So I'm currently using it. I've integrated it into like the other project I've been working on, which is Lauf. So now Lauf has like Clanka built in, and you can run models of Codex and Copilot at the moment. And the other thing I wanted it to do is be like embeddable. So it's purely like a library. And instead of running like a CLI, you just like embed the library into whatever. And this is roughly what the API looks like. So here I'm building a key value store with some of the model services. So it needs a key value store and an HTTP client. And at the moment, the key value store is just for like storing like the keys or the auth tokens, and like so it can like refresh them and track that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ships with Codex and Copilot modules. So you can go like codex.model, and then here you can do like GPT-3 Codex 5.4 and set your reasoning. I think it sets summary for you by default. Yeah, it does. And that will use like your Codex subscription or your Copilot subscription. And here I've got one for Opus I was trying out. So you've got your model here, and that's very similar to like the Effect AI models. Well, in fact, they are. I think it just wraps. Yeah, that's from the Effect AI package. But it also injects some like config alongside it. And then you can like make an agent, give it a directory to live in, give it a prompt, and optionally like a model for like the subagents. And you can get rid of that. And then it will just use the same model that as the main agent. What else have I got in here? You can like completely override the system prompt, and then it gives you like the built-in tool instructions for like interacting with the Clanka tools, the built-in tools. And
Clanka
also you
tools.
can like add your own tools, so like, and they will live alongside the built-in tools. So by default, it ships with like all the basic stuff to like work with a code base, like reading files, write files, applying patches, make directory lists, rip grep, glob, GitHub CLI, subagents, sleep, and then like this special task complete one. So those are like the built-in tools, and its handlers are all down here. But then you can like add tools that will live alongside those. So that ensures like if you add tools, they're like treated at the same level as the built-in ones. Whereas like I think if you do like tools and other agents, then they're like a separate thing, and your agent is less likely to use them. But you make your agent, and then you can like take the output, or there's only two things on it right now: the output, and then the option to like inject steering prompts.
What would the utility of steering the agent be? Like, how would that work?
So I'm using it in Lauf. So like if I edit a task in linear, then it will inject a steering prompt saying, hey, the user has updated the task, can you reread it? And then it will take action. Or potentially if you're going to integrate it in other things, and like you're watching the output and you notice it doing something stupid, you could like inject a steering prompt to try correct it without like interrupting it. And then here we're just writing the output to standard out. So this is the demo. And then you can do things like add a readme.
I have a question in the chat. What is Effect?
It's probably not something we'll cover today, but Effect is a way of writing production grade TypeScript. You can check out the website, effect.website, to learn more.
I dropped the link in the chat.
Nice. In the chat. But here you can see like it's writing code to complete its task. So whereas in like a normal coding agent, it would be like doing tool call, and then another tool call, and then another tool call, or it might run a couple in parallel. But when you let an agent write code, it can like chain many operations together and use like coding logic to like build the output that it needs.
And then how do you execute the code? Do you just exec it, or do you?
So there's an executor service, and the execute method on it gets the toolkit, and then the script that it's trying to run. And it It's a little bit too big for me to read. It compiles. What does it do? It injects like the toolkit as functions into like a sandbox. It creates like we're creating like a fake console and injecting it, as well as we're injecting fetch as well, so it can do like HTTP calls. And then the script gets injected, and then here's it. This is where the like tools get injected.
I'm being asked
then-
if there's a Python version of Effect.
I don't know.
I have no idea if I'm being trolled or not, but I'll answer it as if I'm not. This is a TypeScript library. It's a library that's designed to let you write production grade TypeScript.
I
have no idea.
Python. You're just like maybe just search Python effect system and then see what you get.
Yeah, I would do what Tim said.
Yeah. So it runs the script and then like captures all the console logs, the console output, and then sends it back. But it's built around like the Effect AI toolkit.
Nice.
And the other piece of the puzzle is toolkit renderer, which takes all the schemas, renders them as TypeScript types, and spits out like a DETS file of all the functions and like their documentation. So maybe if we peek under the covers quickly, if we go into agent, this is where it spawns. Agent, generate system.
But yeah, I heard there's a PHP version called PHP Effect. A PHP.
So we just
can't even pronounce that, Mattia.
So this is the system prompt that gets injected. So a bunch of faff about being great. Be awesome, please. You complete your task by only writing JavaScript code. And then this is where the tools get injected. So you can see here, like, read file becomes this function that returns a promise. And then here's all the other tools. And then if you have injected your own custom tools, that would be in here as well.
So when you are receiving the output from the LLM, you basically just do some parsing of the output and then pass the script it wrote to the executor thingy along with your toolkit?
There's not really any parsing done. It just sends plain JavaScript in its responses, and I execute it.
But do you ever get like stuff back from the LLM that's not JavaScript, or it literally only responds with JavaScript?
Like if it doesn't respond to JavaScript, then it will like log back the syntax error, and it works out pretty quickly that given the system prompt and the output that it's given, that it screwed up.
Gotcha.
But there are some models that this technique doesn't work with, which is Claude. So for those models, it just injects a single tool called execute, and then modifies the system prompt to like reflect that.
Interesting. So for Claude, this doesn't work at all?
So for Claude, it doesn't like differentiate between like reasoning messages and actual messages. So what it does is just like inlines a bunch of JavaScript snippets into a single long message. It's like, hey, I should run this. Here's some JavaScript. Oh, that didn't work. Because there's no...
Freedom DAO does have a question about the current agent that we're working on. Do you sanitize this LLM output before it hits the system?
No. So we just make sure like the tools that it can access are sensible. And I also run all my agents in sandbox environments like Docker containers or VMs. So the things they have access to, even if it could escape the sandbox, I don't care. So you basically just want to give it the tools it can use to like do its job, and then make sure that it's done in a place where if it does go crazy, it doesn't matter.
Makes sense.
But yeah, like at the moment you start trying to like sanitize stuff and putting too much restriction on the tooling, then it's just more hoops for the agent to jump through, and it's less likely to give you good output.
So this was just born out of you wanting to test out this approach.
Yeah. And also just like to get a better idea of what coding agents are doing under the hood, and also wanted more control over the system prompt, just so I could see like how changes in the system prompt like reflect the behavior and how much it steers your agents. Because I've tried a few like OpenCode, the Codex CLI, and even though they're using the same models, they have like wildly different quality of output.
Mm-hmm.
So this obviously means that the system prompt is extremely important in terms of how well these models perform. And OpenCode and Codex CLI don't really expose their system prompts or give you access to them that easily. Like OpenCode, I could just look at the source code, but I'm not really sure how you would customize them.
Makes sense.
Freedom DAO says wanted that it to be like a library that you could like embed into many different places. It's like potentially in the future you could build your own custom agents that run on Effect cluster and stuff.
Makes sense. Freedom DAO asks, says that he has a sanitation. They have a sanitation layer for their agents where it checks for harm using a one-word reply, safe, unsafe, and a retry best of 3. It does add some delay, but removes injection.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about injection at this point.
Yeah, I think this is still very much in like the experimental phase.
Yeah. But one tool that's missing right now that I want to add is like a web search tool. So if I ask my agent to like take a look at the docs for a project, I want it to be able to like search the internet, get some search results, and then potentially use like the fetch tool, the fetch function to like grab the results. So potentially in here we have like a web search tool. And then just a simple like search term, query sign. And then what should I do for results? I guess it could be an array. If I create a quick scheme of that here. Yeah, that's fine. Cool.
Hello, Mike. Mike
Hello.
has joined the chat. Mike has entered the chat. Was it AOL that used to have those messages? Like when somebody would join a chat, it would say XYZ has entered the chat. I forget. Yeah, Freedom. I think that so. Freedom DOS says that is basically talking a little bit more about safety and sanitization. I think that if this were being used in like a production system, obviously we'd have a little more safeguards in place. But right now, this is still very much like an experiment that Tim is working on, just to sort of like test how instead of using tool calls, instead of letting the agent execute tool calls, just letting the agent write the code directly and execute it and see how like well that works or doesn't work. So yeah, I think sanitization, safety, all of that
if
stuff.
you're running Claude with like dangerously allow all, you're just as vulnerable.
Right.
What API should I use for web search? DuckDuckGo sounds good.
What is an API, Tim?
What is an API? Shall we try and get Clanka to build one for us?
Use Clanka to build Clanka.
Yeah, exactly. Do I have enough set up for it? Yeah. So we want to add
yeah, exactly, Mike.
add a DuckDuckGo API client to source. It only needs one method. Search. Okay, get those promises out of here.
Get those promises out of here.
It should be a service with one method. Send it.
When you run Lalf on these repos, do you typically? I'm assuming you have a setup script that like clones the effect small repo into the.
Yeah. This one is cloning effect small and open code.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like with the safety thing, if you're like at the point where you're sanitizing the tool calls, you kind of like already failed. You need to go. You need the security above the agent. Where it's an us API. Oh, here we go. Best search API for LLM. In the search. Maybe DuckDuckGo will be fun. How's it going over here? Looks like it's just spawned a sub-agent to do some exploration. So here you can see it doing things like promise it all, sending off 2 delegation tasks, and then logging the results.
Interesting.
But for now we can work with like a mock. Mock search. Where's my language? There it is. There it is. So search query, and then an effect of search results. Array. Need a URL, and then maybe like a snippet. Cool. And then in our agent tools, where is it? We've added web search here. Great. It returns an array of results. Or maybe we don't even need that because it's in the type definition. Got a string, which we called query. Great. And now, so here, if we get access to web search, this will be our mock search service. And then we'll just add it in here. Easy.
I like it.
Ship it.
Ship it.
What are our requirements here? File system, something. What's it? We just provide up to the handlers. I think there are tests here though. So maybe we need a test version of this layer.
The Speed X2, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it.
Where should I supply the service?
Where are you supplying the rest of
them? AI generated these tests, so I don't know what they're doing.
Nice.
We don't need to test the patch tool because it's tested somewhere else. I was going to delete the test. Yeah, apply patch is pretty well tested here. So I'll just do local provision of the search tool here. Oh, we don't have a layer. Layer.mock. Mock search. What is your problem?
What is your problem?
That's it.
It's weird. Why is layer.mock not dual?
I don't know.
Clanka, get on it.
Layer.mock should be a dual API. So you can do layer.mock service implementation. Cool. npm check. Alright, so now we just need a real search service to replace it with. So now if we go search the web for effect docs, it should use our new tool. Yeah. Cool.
Clank is still hacking over there.
Yeah, I'm currently using Codex 5.3 high, which tends to do like a lot of thinking. So it's still doing its research, most likely.
Interesting.
Over here is those, what do I get it to work on? The layer.mock.
It is a very interesting approach to have it just write code.
Yeah, a lot of people are starting to go in this direction, like Cloudflare with its code mode MCP thing. And then I think Reese is starting to look into it. Where he
makes
turns
sense.
like open API specs into code as well.
Mike says that it also allows for interesting stuff like doing code changes via AST parsing and transformers.
Yeah. I guess as long as it's something that the models have seen a lot of, then they can pick it up reasonably quickly. Like, all the models these days are trained on lots and lots of code. And like half the code out on the internet these days is JavaScript and Python. So if you
And
ask
we
them
don't
to write
use that.
JavaScript and Python,
We don't use that word on the stream.
yeah, we don't use Python on the stream. Need to clean my mouth out with soap now.
You do. That's a dirty word in my household. I've written enough Python for my entire life. Mike says you could provide examples of how to do an AST transform, etc. in the system prompt if you customize the system prompt.
I guess if you stick to things it knows, then you can get a leaner system prompt, but potentially if you design the prompt well enough, then it will pick it up.
I guess also since you have full control of the system prompt in Clanka, I mean, you could theoretically build create a purpose-built Clanka for doing that type of thing, right? Like you could have,
like for example, in Laos, in the worker, it like injects tools for working with like the task list. So in here you could like insert tools for working with ASTs and then add your own system prompt to add more like explanation about AST stuff.
right.
I think I have, I did a patch to Effect to allow doing this, but it isn't released yet.
What did you end up going with? The Unify approach or something else?
I just updated like the generate options to support unions. Well, cool. I didn't. The robot did. Where is it? Here it is. It added some type tests for it, which is nice. Yeah.
Cool.
Tool extends any.
Does a tool extend any though?
Some kind of like TypeScript trick that I don't know about.
Yeah, it's a TypeScript trick that lets you pass any value into the.
What it will be doing is the same as like doing tools extends infer something to break apart the union.
Right.
So usually I do like a blank infer, but I guess any works.
I think a blank infer might be technically a little bit more correct, but
anyway.
Oh, hopefully it works.
Well, I wrote a type test for us. So
Mike says a blank infer is slower.
Oh.
Good to know. The more you know.
I can hear my laptop fan spinning, so that means it's probably calling DocGen somewhere.
Rewrite DocGen in Rust.
Yeah. Well, I think the CPU intensive part of DocGen is like running type check on all the examples.
Rewrite DocGen and Go.
Well, it's using TSGo already for the
it is?
Type checking. Yeah, I changed it to use TSGo to improve performance, but Clanka writing a wild true. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so maybe if we write TSGO in Rust.
Rewrite it in Rust. Hang on, I'm going to turn on my light.
I think there already is someone writing TSGO in Rust.
It's not the TypeScript team.
I saw it on Twitter actually. Writing TSGO in Rust. But yeah, I did see someone doing that. And it improved performance even more. But the problem is getting the fact that TypeScript is half the internet now. Compatibility is the tricky part.
Yep.
Yeah. Looks like it's doing the PR now.
Nice.
Yeah, sometimes it screws up like escaping or things. But it gets
Yeah, I basically never run docgen locally.
yeah, you just let CI do it.
Need an M5 Max to be able to run docgen efficiently.
It's really good for the agents to do it because when they change stuff and the docs don't match, it throws an error. And then they fix the docs.
You need like an M5 Max to be able to run docgen efficiently.
Yeah. Let's see its work. Make client. Oh, that's the tests. I wrote tests. Good on it. Good on you, Clanka, running tests.
Good on you, Clanka.
So we've got a search tool. It's got a client. Repeating the API URL, set JSON. Normalize query. If it's blank, return empty array. Response. No HTML. No, doesn't. Format JSON. Great. Schema passing. Results. Looks good to me. We could probably. Oh, it's probably using that for the tests, isn't it? Interesting. It quite likes putting lots of helpers on the module level.
It really does. It really, really does.
Which I'm not against the pattern, but
I'm not against it. I just like it when my services are at the top of the file.
yeah. Well, it's quite easy to move this, I think. We'll just do some tweaks and then ship it. Oh, I'm at enough. Whoops. What was it?
Mike, Max looking for excuses to get a new laptop.
Didn't they just release like the M5 Max?
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't really care about test source. I think I'll just inline the layer. Layer.effect DuckDuckGo constructor, and he's got to have leverage.
Yes, that is why Max is now interested in running DocGen locally. 2 minutes ago, there was no interest. Very suspicious. I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Split search text. What is this for? Interesting. It's for extracting a description.
It's kind of a dumb heuristic, the dash, no?
Well, I don't know what DuckDuckGo actually returns. Heading or abstract text is there. 2 search results. Oh yeah, so it tries to use the abstract first, and then I'm guessing it falls back.
I do have my home lab rack, which has like, I actually forget how many CPUs I have in there, but there's 128 gigs of RAM in my home lab, but I don't remember how many CPUs I have.
Yeah. I have some like cheap secondhand micro PC running a cluster or a single node
Nice.
cluster.
Yeah, my thing is a old Dell PowerEdge R720 rack server. So it's huge. It's old, but it works really well. Literally was like end of life like almost 10 years ago, but I got it for a really good deal on eBay. And it works very well. I run a bunch of like just services on it.
Effect TypeScript documentation. Effect.provide node runtime dot remain, and that will need an HTTP client. And here I'll just use DC. No results.
Tim, it's pronounced Undici.
Undici. Interesting.
Means 11 in Italian. Which, if you want to know why Undici is called Undici, I looked this up a long time ago, but it's because in Italian, Undici is 11, and it's an HTTP 1.1 client. Hence, Undici. That's my TypeScript, JavaScript trivia fact for you today.
So it looks like The response is good. Or the right shape, but it's doing something weird. Is that even the right API? Response.text. Yeah, that looks legit, I guess. .com search terms. I want full search results. Interesting. I should have read this first. SERP API. Okay. Do I need a key for this? Is that rate limited?
I'm reading about some stuff. It looks like the Brave Search API gets good reviews,
Okay.
but it is.
Brave search API.
But you do need like a key for this. It's priced. It's not free.
$5. Okay. Key. Search for key. So it does have API key here. Oh yeah, 250 searches a month. Guess it's not too bad. Any others? Search API. Free web search API. No API key. Exa. Exa web search. Let's see how this goes. Other JavaScript, I guess. Um, oops. Latency versus quality a sector. We want contact. Auto is fine. wonder how OpenCode's doing it if it is a private API key.
Maybe they have a partnership with them. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess the alternative is scraping.
Oh God, let's not go there, Tim. Don't do it. No.
Well, this one's using SIP. But you still need a key for that one.
Try EXA. Let's just do it.
But it would just mean that you would have to provide an API key somehow.
True. Do they list Anomaly as a brand partner? Let's see. Yeah, let's search in the open code repo like Mike says.
OpenCode implement their web search tool.
Never mind, we have Clanka.
OpenCode. Do I still have it there? Repos, OpenCode. Gee, I think it's called web search. Web search.
Does it not just delegate web search to the provider?
I'm not sure.
I think it does. I think it just delegates to the model provider.
It looks like it's using Exa.
Whichever provider you're using, whichever LLM provider you're using. Like, don't most LLM providers have a web search API? Yeah.
It's like the Exa stuff is experimental. It looks like it's found something. Oh, yeah, that was a sub-agent. Native open code web search tool. Sports web search tool. Exa. Web search code search enabled when model provider is open code.
So I wonder if they do have like a brand partnership where they're providing the key on their end.
Yeah, I guess they might have a proxy server. And then for OpenAI, they use web search, but that's only the OpenAI provider. So I guess if you're
Mike,
using Copilot stuff.
we were saying the Clanker's saying that if you have the provider as open code, that's when it uses Exa. Otherwise, it tries to use the model provider's web search. At least that's what this thing is saying. So that's why Tim and I are saying if you're using open code as the provider, then you're hooking into their APIs.
If I just open, go to Clanka. If I switch to, I feel like GPT-4 will be good for this. Medium. How is the web search supplying the API key? That's what I was logged in. Continue.
Sorry, I was talking and I was muted. Mike was saying that he just tried GLM5 via Deep Infra, and OpenCode cannot run a web search with that provider, so it is provider specific. And I think we're right that Exa is probably just being proxied on their server.
It's kind of funny because like anyone can just open Google and do a search, but I guess with the whole ad thing. MCP Google search, how does that work? Scraping Google, oh yeah. Services with free tiers.
I think Exa has a pretty generous free tier. You have to log in, but I think it's. Let me see.
I guess if you supply a key somehow to the agent, then it uses it. Otherwise, it doesn't use the tool.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. You could put it in your config.
X API. API key, copy, and twice quickly add a .env, x API key equals paste.
Denzen Hansel, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. Sorry, I don't have follow notifications set up.
Add env to get ignore, and we are back. So if we let's do that. So what do we got here? We've got a key, documentation, playground, latest news on NVIDIA, search. Okay. Gives you an ID, title URL, highlights. I guess we just wraps the library for now.
Probably just easier for now, yeah. The use pattern.
Use it. And then we can, I guess, just do a service option. Then you provide the layer.
You could also have the service.
From.
You could have the service built in, and well, I guess you do need the service option because if the API key is not there, you can't make the client, I guess.
It's in service map. Search. Effect. Something. Oops. And then for the layer. It would take in maybe like an API key.
They get imported from schema.
It always happens to me. New exa redacted value. characters. So here we just do array of search response. And then define X error. What am I doing? Schema dot tagged error. Let's see how it goes.
I'll probably have to head out soon.
Okay.
But is Clanka open source yet? I forget.
No. But it's on NPM already, so I could probably open source it.
Cool.
That's good.
Cool. Well, while Clanka does its thing, I'm probably going to have to head out. Cheers, Mattia. Thank you for joining. But yeah, thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Maybe we'll work on Clanka or something else more next week. But until then, have a good one, folks.
See you guys.
Cheers, everyone.